Hi there, welcome to part 3 of my Android RecyclerView tutorial, 3A specifically. So just a couple of preliminaries before we jump into Android Studio. I'm going to have you guys download a couple of icons to begin with. So open up a page in Google and type in Android Material Icons. That should be good enough. And then just click on this page here. And Google has done everyone a service, as usual, and provided an enormous list of icons which you can use for free and edit as you see fit. And you can use these across platform, on Android, iOS, on the web, everything like that. So in order to better demonstrate what an attractive recycler view would look like, I'm just going to have you guys download a couple of icons here. The first two are star border and star. For both of these icons, I'm going to have you download black and 24 dip. And then one more icon, and this icon is basically just going to serve as our mock avatar. And you can actually pick whichever icon you want. I picked tonality because it looks kind of cool. And for the avatars icon, we're just going to make that one 36 dip instead of 24, and black is still fine. So once you've got your settings set up here, you're just going to hit PNGs, download, and navigate to the Android folder, right-click, copy that. And I'm just going to open up straight to my res folder in derp list. Let me just resize that so that you can see it. I guess that would probably help. Sorry about that. What I did was from the downloaded folder, just right click, copy, and then head on over to our res folder in our project. I'm only recording part of my window so that it can be 720 dip, so you'll have to forgive me for blunders like that. And then you're just going to right click on the white space and hit paste. Do this for all current items, and that should merge everything together. If you're on a Mac or Linux, I don't know what the steps are to do that, but I'd imagine it's not that complicated. You've probably figured out how to copy and paste at this point. So one last thing before we jump into the code. Whoops, where are we? Right, so we're just going to go to Google, and we're going to type Android Material Design. Head down to this page here, Introduction Material Design. Didn't actually need to type Android there, but that's okay. And this website is another Google site which is basically designed to help you figure out how to design your applications to the material design specification. So we're going to be concerned most specifically about this section here, lists, and I'm just going to navigate to the piece that we want, which is a two-line item with an avatar and with an icon. Now we're not going to have a real avatar. Later on I will, and we'll probably be animating that, but for now that's just going to be our icon. I chose the tonality icon for that. And then these icons are either going to be star border or star star. And then we're also going to have two these text views here. So I'm going to show you how to set the RecyclerView item to look like that. They give you some hint as to how to do this, but I don't think this is really an Android-specific specification here, because if you try and follow some of these settings exactly in Android, it's almost confusing and impossible to do so, and it's difficult to begin with, so I'll walk you through how to do this on the Android platform. I think they were trying to show you a platform non-specific way to lay these out, just kind of general rules. So yeah, that's the kind of recycler view we'll be building. Now let's jump into the code. Okay, welcome back. So we're just going to start by making some adjustments to the classes in our model. Beginning with list item, we're going to need to add two new variables to it. and these are of course the variables for the secondary text view and also the secondary icon. So we're just going to say private string subtitle, just like that. Then we're also going to add a boolean. You'll have to forgive me, I've been programming in this language called Racket for the past week, and my Java typing might be pretty slow, so apologies for that ahead of time. We're going to add a boolean and default it to false. You'll see why later on. And then just go ahead and right click, hit generate getter and setter, and then generate getters and setters for both those new variables there. Perfect. We're also going to make some adjustments to our derp data class. Now, I could go through and type this all out, but it's really just going to waste your time and it has nothing to do with the tutorial proper. So what I'm going to do is just copy and paste some data in here. So all I've done is we've kept the first string array titles and just added some other quotes to it. And then we've also got a secondary string array here called subtitles, which just has the names of the people who are supposed to have said the quote. Just some interesting and intelligent people there, depending on who you ask. I've added another static int icon, and that just refers to IC tonality black. Now that I think about it, we might not actually need that, but go ahead and add that anyway in case I almost swore, in case I screwed up there. Anyways, yeah, so that's all we need to do in derp data. Next we'll move on to the difficult and important stuff, the layouts. So the first thing I want you to do is head over to the drawable folder, right click, new drawable resource, and we're going to make a new drawable called background state drawable. Oh, why can't I spell? Background state drawable. And I'm just going to copy and paste this in here. Basically, this is just a background graphic that we'll use to, on older APIs, kind of simulate kind of a touch response, and then on the newer APIs we'll be using the ripple effect. This is probably something you know already, but if you want to be able to just copy and paste all this text in here, just head on over to the blog. I'll put a link down in the description box. I've got all of the source code written out, and you can just copy and paste it from GitHub gist, so I would suggest you do that, or you can type it out, whatever's cool with you, bro, or gal. Anyways, we're going to make another drawable resource folder. It's going to be called the same thing, background drawable, background state drawable. And now what we're going to do is head down to version, and then we're going to type in API 21. So that's going to create a directory called drawable v21. If you've ever wondered how to do that, you just head down to whatever version at the bottom of this list here and type in the appropriate API level. Create that there. And for this drawable, we're going to use the ripple effect. And oh, I forgot to specify the color there. We're going to be using B6, which is sort of a light gray. You're probably going to want to make a an entry in the colors.xml for light gray or something like that. Just for expediency's sake, I'm just going to type it in there. But yeah, so we've created those two drawables. Now we're going to jump over to listitem.xml. So this is what our layout looked like in the previous tutorial, just a single icon and a single bland, ugly text view. We're going to need to add a number of things to it. Now, I considered typing out the entire thing for you, but I don't think this tutorial really needs to be longer than it will already end up. So what I'm going to do is copy and paste in the completed text, and then I'll just go through with you and just kind of go over the important things, and hopefully that'll be enough description for you. If not, let me know in the comments section. It's kind of hard for me to gauge what is the best learning experience at this point, but I'll just do my best here. So with our new layout, we've switched it to a relative layout as the root view group. The reason why I picked a relative layout is it allows us to basically have a single view hierarchy, or a single level of the view hierarchy. If we were to use, for example, a linear layout, then we'd need to have a nested layout. Let me just zoom in on that so that's clear. We'd need to have a nested layout here and here, either a nested relative layout or another linear layout in there. And nested layouts can have a performance impact. It's probably pretty negligible at that point, but it's just something to consider. So that's why I opted to do the relative layout. I also find that if you know how to use relative layouts, then oftentimes they give you more control than the linear layouts in some scenarios. Not saying that you should use them all the time, but yeah. So a couple important things. We've set the background of our relative layout to our background state drawable. You'll see that in effect later, but basically if we're running this app on a newer a phone with a newer API 21 or higher, then that's going to give us either a ripple effect on the newer API or just like a background changed color effect on older APIs. You're going to want to make this clickable. That is quite important, and we'll see why later on. And 72 height or 72 dip comes from the Android material design specification, so that's why I chose that there. Our new layout has it has 2 image views and 2 text views. Of course, I probably don't need to explain what those are, but our first image view is the avatar, and obviously we've just used the icon that I had you download. You can change that if you copy and pasted this text to whatever icon you chose, but yeah. And most importantly, it is layout center vertical, which is a relative layout specific attribute as far as I'm aware. And that basically just centers this view in the layout, in the middle of the the view root, I should say. And padding left 16 dip as per the specification. We've got the 2 text views here. A lot of stuff going on here. So ellipse size, what this does is, as you'll see later on, obviously our quotes, most of them are going to be too long to fit into the text box here, so it's just going to add ellipses or ellipses just to the end of the text to kind of have a smooth transition. We set a margin left, which is basically to simulate the padding that the Android specification suggested. I chose to use a margin here just because it was easier. And then I've also told this text view to align to the top of this image view here, and then this text view to align to the bottom of this text view here. And so yeah. Font family allows you to use the Roboto fonts. So sans serif is basically the code for, I believe, Roboto regular font, and it just looks a little bit nicer than the typical font that it gets shipped with. Single line, of course, I don't need to explain that one. And yeah, we're going to make this text view here 16 SP and this one 14 SP. Also, I set this one to be color black specifically, whereas this one is the default kind of faded gray text here, and that's just for emphasis. So I think that's everything important there. We have set the image view here, but for some reason it's not showing up at the moment, so we'll have to see if that is an issue later on, but I think it will show up eventually. But kind of frustrating there. Let's see, layout parent right. So yeah, I've just basically stuck this image view to the edge of the go on, brain, you can do this, to the edge of the view root. And we've also set this one to clickable, and I've given it 16 dip padding. It is important to add that padding because that's basically going to make a larger touch target. So I'm just going to take a moment to try and figure out why that's not showing up. That's a little bit confusing. Why you no show up for me? API 23. Wrap content. And I do have IC star. Okay, well I'll just have to troubleshoot that later. Sorry about that. I can't remember if that was occurring in the test run, but whatever. We're just going to move on. And yeah, that's the basic look of our RecyclerView list item. Okay, so what else do we have here? So the last thing we're going to do in this portion of the tutorial is we're going to create a new activity. So we're just going to head over to the UI folder here, go to New Activity, Empty Activity, and we're going to call this Detail Activity. And you can go ahead and generate the layout file activity detail. Perfect. And we're not actually actually what we can do is do the views here. So just open up activity detail, and let's see here. So all we're going to do is add 2 text views. Again, I'm just going to copy and paste these in here just to save some time. And this is even less complicated than the previous text views. For the first one, I've set the font family to sans serif medium, and I set the second text view to sans serif light and italic. This one here is going to contain the name of the person of the quote, and then this is going to contain the actual quote, and we're going to be passing that data in after the list view item is clicked. So we'll save that for the next tutorial. Thanks for watching.